all four of the change scenarios come out at 6. You have to do a handstand or something.
The resultant earthquake from when I fall over wouldn't be worth it.
Oh Lord. Oh Lord. Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Gollum's Gamers podcast. So today we are doing another event preview episode. It's for an upcoming GBHL 100 event that is happening over in Ireland, and we are joined today by the TO of the event, Mr. Michael Bradford himself. Michael, welcome to the podcast. Now, I think I may have butchered. Is it in Ireland or Northern Ireland? Was that my first stumble there?
It won't be the last. It is in Northern Ireland.
Damn it.
Yes, technically, yes. But we can come on to that, sure.
Yeah, no, but welcome to the podcast. Thank you for hopping on. So a bit of a different preview because none of us are actually going to this particular event where usually someone on the pod would be going. But as it's GBHL 100, these are big events, lots of points on the line, and we're just going to cover some of the stats for the event and some of the lists which are going, and sort of have a look at how the event is going to shape up. Now, there are some kind of unique things about the event. So there's some scenario changes, also some kind of unique rules which have been added in as well by Michael to make it kind of a bit more of a unique event. So Michael, do you want to give us a brief kind of rundown on the changes that you've put in for this event?
Yeah, 100%. No, I know. Just quickly, none of you are coming except for Jamie Wiggins, right?
The Guardians.
He deems himself the top Gollum gamer, as far as I'm aware.
Arch enemy, Jamie Wiggins.
No. Oh, we didn't even talk about the attire that we're in. We thought, as this is such a premier event, that we would just really push the boat out on this particular occasion for the viewers and Michael.
Yes. This is a upper class interview this time.
I love how your tie also matches the flowers behind you, Michael. It couldn't be choreographed any better.
Thank you. My butler puts a lot of thought into this, you see, so I can't take credit for it.
Yeah.
No, well, look, big fan of the podcast. I guess first thing to say is very grateful to you guys for having me on. Also grateful for you to not, bring in Sam Grattan and James on. It's just better with the core Gollum gamers.
Yeah,
the riffraff away.
The important ones, are all here. Only the
best one is here. That's the main
thing. Top gamers, yes. Yep. No, but I've been watching since day dot, and it's very enjoyable. And I think, honestly, guys, just to be serious for a moment and to address the community. Hello, community. These guys are doing an excellent job in promoting the game, promoting it for the younger generations. It's really sad that I feel like I can say that, but I am old now, technically. You guys are doing a great job releasing entertaining content that reaches out throughout the community. And even for the fact that, none of you except for Jamie are coming to my event, and yet you're willing to give me some airtime to talk about it and to hopefully get some interest for next year and so on. I really appreciate that, and it speaks a lot to what you're doing, so thank you.
No worries, mate. Thank you.
I love how you group Jamie with us.
I
love Jamie, but this is quite funny.
I'm not sure if he will love or hate that. I'm not sure.
The only person in the whole community we don't want to be associated with, and you name drop him in it.
I've got my rod right here. We'll see what we
fish and frenzy.
Anyway,
there we go. Love that, Michael. You're fitting in seamlessly already.
But also just a wee dig at Bert Leach, who decided that because he couldn't make my event, he would host his own this weekend and entice you all the way to that.
I am going to that one.
Of course, it's at the same time.
Yeah. I mean, it is half an hour away compared to. I mean, it's probably not that long. How long is it to get to Northern Ireland?
It's about a half-hour flight, and it's cheaper over here compared to London. But
I have no excuse.
That's Bert. Me and him will have further words, I'm sure. But I know I hope you will enjoy yourself on the weekend itself. Anyway, it's going to be a good event. Bert throws only the best. So
yeah.
But you had asked me about the event.
Yes.
It's a typical 100 in a sense with a few twists, but not twists. Well, it keeps it unique, but also for me, I'm trying to take things back to the way MESBG was before the maps play guide, albeit it includes the scenarios that came with the maps play guide.
Yeah.
I was always a fan of the way scenarios were chosen. You know, it was a 1 out of 18 scenario pick for each round, rather than a 1 out of 3 in specific pools with similar scenarios grouped together.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing to note, is that each scenario will be rolled on a d20. No repeat scenarios, of course, but there's, you know, all 3 Maelstrom scenarios could come up to the death. All the banner scenarios could come up, things like that. Well, they could probably in the pool system anyway. But it means that you can't. You can take a chance with a swing list. You're all hero, and as you'll have seen from some of the lists like that, that is what people are doing. And then you might also want to build the sort of the staple thing that's come into the general meta of, you know, like 40-ish models, March, higher numbers is better, sort of all round, just to face everything.
Yeah.
You could try for that too. By the way, just to stop me from monologuing, just jump in whenever you have something to interject. By the way, otherwise I will. I'm not used to speaking so much. I'll just get carried away. But
your smooth Irish voice is just lulling us to sleep. It's perfect.
Oh, good. Okay, I'll try to get the Northern Irish voice back in there, but for now, Irish will do. So I'm only ribbing you with that, by the way. I feel honoured to be described as such. So yeah,
is this a 6 or 7 game then?
It's a 6
This is a
game
6
event.
or 7.
Six.
6 game.
Yeah.
800
so
points.
800.
Three Saturday, 3 Sunday. 800 points.
So Bert basically went, Michael's running an 800-point event. What's my favorite number? 5. Let's add 5 more points on and just do an event at the same time.
Yeah.
It's just it's petty is what it is.
The atomic cast are just
terrible.
They're not good guys.
All of them.
He's such a good fella. But yeah, so 800 points. And then I think, having been on the scene for a while, endured my own pains in certain scenarios, but also having heard a lot of the gripes from the community in various situations, I've sought to amend, I think it was 4 of the scenarios. And by amending, I mean I have amended the deployment for 1, and then the victory and finishing conditions for 3 others.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you want me to run through them?
Yeah. Go for it. Which one is
the
deployment for? I'm interested.
So that's Storm the Camp. So
I
was
guess,
I was considering doing something similar to Alistair King. I'm just going to full name him, Alistair King, at City of Kings, where he did the retrieval deployment. I was considering that before he was, and he just jumped on the bandwagon, and I didn't feel special anymore. So what I've done, I've just increased the deployment to 24 inches. Now, that's not a huge change. It's still probably a good 3 turns of movement before you reach the opponent's camp. But it does mean that because this, I should probably touch on that too, and I'll try not to get too haywire here, but the tournament uses a different scoring system to what's usually used in the rest of the UK. So it's a TP scoring system where there's 24 available TPs per game. So, you know, your big wins or your small losses are what's really promoted. So Storm the Camp is often associated as a draw, like with being a draw scenario. Draws are decent for people who aren't expecting to do too well. But if you're wanting to climb the sort of the heights of the event, you'll want to look for decent wins from each scenario. Therefore, if you want to start at the edge of your 24-inch deployment and head forward to the camp, where it's a little less risky, even if you're going against something like a Harad or a Reigns of Ithilien gun line, you can still get there, and there will be a decent amount of terrain that it's not just pure open taking shots.
Yeah, you want to encourage people. Sorry, go on, Ash.
I was going to say, it's just such a simple solution to a scenario that doesn't need to be so long and boring. Like it could be edited, just change it to 24 inches, and then when you play that scenario, you've got a lot more options of deployment being such a massive part of faking and then putting your troops where you actually want them to be, so that you can then get into someone else's camp. Whereas not only are you restricted to limited deployment, you're also just tucked into a corner, so there's just takes ages to get anywhere. It should be taken on board by GW and hopefully implemented. It won't be, but you know, it would just it would save a lot of the draw scenarios and situations that you actually get from Storm the Camp.
They did give us an FAQ on Storm the Camp in the most recent FAQ, but wasn't really much of a change that everyone was hoping for. But yeah, I just think, the scenario should be, it seems like maybe what you've tried to do is that it encourages people to go more for a win. And to do that, you have to go for a camp rather than just meeting in the middle and drawing. And that's ultimately what the scenario is. You're meant to be trying to capture the other opponents in camp. And if the scenario doesn't encourage that, then that part of it might as well, just not be there.
No, it's exactly that. And I mean, look, we can always hope with GW. I'm sure Jay is a big fan of you guys' podcast.
Hopefully.
I just want to catch myself there. Is this a podcast as a boomer, pretty much? What would you call this? A vlog?
I'm not sure if this is a podcast. Like, it's a podcast on Spotify, but it's an audio and video version. So it sort of fits, hitting multiple channels here.
You can't define us. We're so
undefinable.
That's
the way we do it.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. That doesn't help in the slightest, but it's nice to be a part of it, whatever it is. So
yes.
The thing Ali did actually, which I'd love to include in future, was he changed the points around as well and added in the banner to Storm the Camp.
If you get a banner in the other camp, that was cool. I did like
it. It was a really neat change, rather than just here's your banner, hide him in the corner, probably in your camp, so he passed all his courage, and just hide the rest of the game. Actually, it's like shepherd him to the camp for the extra points. It was a cool twist. That was probably the one I was the biggest fan of at his event, but I'm not here to talk about his event as much as I think.
I think also being able, if it's like to protect a banner, let's say usually, obviously, when there's banner VPs, you have to try and keep your banner safe. But if that's just behind the lines, then that might not be too hard to do, unless there's like magic and things. But that might not be the hardest thing. But if you're having to move it across the board into your opponent's camp, there's going to be more opportunities to slip up, or for your opponents to make plays to try and get the banner. So to have to move it into the opponent's camp just adds a different sort.
It also helps just to stop draws again, because I mean, if you have a banner and your opponent doesn't, then they can't just stay there and draw. They have to come to you and actually do something about it.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think when you do run into someone who doesn't have a banner and you do, like, obviously it feels great, but then if it's the other way around, you're just immediately on the back foot because of the design of the army. Yes, you could have maybe taken a banner, but not every list can take a banner. Like, certain legendary,
like Defenders of the Shire.
Merca Rangers. So there are things out there, and it's just like, I'm immediately down 2 VPs. That's kind of a bit of a tough place to be in sometimes.
Yeah, no, 100% it is. Interestingly enough, my scenario change actually preempted the FAQ. I had that included already because I got caught out at the fantastically run Dutch GT. Jeroen and Thijs did a great job, but I think there's a sort of a different understanding in Europe as to the end conditions, scoring conditions in Storm the Camp. So it was just to clarify that indeed it's how it stands at the end of the game rather than during the game as to when you score your VPs. And I'm glad that Jay and the rules team addressed
they
that.
know what
Sometimes
things about.
So So sometimes things seem very clear to some and then very clear to others, but in a different sense. And it's nice when even if they don't think it's necessary, that the rules team step in and address stuff. It's appreciated.
Yeah, definitely.
Always. So that was Storm the Camp, and you were saying there were changes to 3 other scenarios.
Yeah, I will try and run through them quicker because Storm the Camp should be the easiest one. So Seize the Prize. This might cause a bit of a consternation because it has to some people, but Seize the Prize doesn't end when you run the objective off the board. It ends when one force hits 25%. So again, the thinking behind this was, I think it's a really anti-crack game when somebody has like a Goya here or a bat or something. They land on the prize, pick it up first turn, and then they're off the board in 2 or 3 further turns, meaning it's usually like a 7-0 victory. So I thought, well, look, they can absolutely do that. And I didn't amend the points. I might in future. We'll see how it goes this time if it comes up. But I thought, you know what? Even if they get the 7, there's still 5 available points for leader, kill, and break-in.
So that's what I was going to ask. So So you can't win the game if the opponent gets it off, but you can still try and make the loss a closer
less
loss.
shit.
Yeah.
Exactly that. So even if you lost 7-5 in our scoring system, that's 14-10. Still 10 points. That's quite good. So I want to make what I would call the swingy scenarios less swingy.
Yeah.
Now technically that could mean that somebody flies off the board and then secures the remaining 5 points. Well, kudos to them. They have the opportunity to do that, but at least this way it encourages the combat.
Yeah, to both sides. Yeah.
Also means the person who's got Guahir runs Guahir off the board and then is 150 points down for the next bit. So you can actually play the rest of the game. And for people who are less competitive, coming up against someone who is very competitive, the competitive player has like Lake Town Soup, they fly Guahir off the board, and then the less competitive player has a chance just to, annihilate someone else's army, which is always fun.
Chance. Yeah. Chance. Yeah. Which is good, I think. Yeah.
So it just quickly, Elliot, it has been raised to me that some people are a bit not concerned, but they raised that, well, look, perhaps somebody flies their Guahir over to the objective, picks it up, and then retreats into their half of the board, and then it's a bit like in heirlooms where you might get the relic and then you need turtle up, so you have a big sort of cyclone of troops around you.
Yeah, if someone were to do that, though, I mean, they're basically accepting the fact that certain things could go wrong and they potentially lose when they could just run it off and they guarantee a win.
I think given the opportunity, you just run it off, just take the win. I
would love to see someone retreat to their board edge with their army and just turtle up and then they lose. I would love to see with a Lake Town Soup list.
I mean, we'll see how it goes, but look, this year I don't think the changes are game breaking, but we'll see if the scenario comes up, if it has any really adverse impact, and we've done it before, so I really don't think it should, but it's always just keeping an eye out for the edge cases and introducing things slowly. The other change, there's two more. One is heirlooms. So in heirlooms, breaking is worth 1 and breaking unbroken is worth 3. And then the heirloom itself is worth 5 points. So it's still the main objective, but it's reduced by a point.
Yes.
And then there are 3 points available for not holding the relic, but having more people within 3 inches of it than the opponent. So let's say, Ash, you had picked up the relic, and Elliot, you had all your troops around the guy with the relic at the end of the game. Ash would score 5 points, you would score 3 points. And that way, it's pushing for people to both engage with the objectives of the scenario, but not letting it come down to that random roll of a 6. There's still hope. And even if people put the objective carrier in the middle of their whole force and get chipped away, you know what, breaking's worth a little more, the objective's worth a little less, and perhaps at the end of the game they might have gotten enough people within 3 inches to actually get those 3 points as well and potentially steal a win. So they're not going to be everyone's cup of tea, but for me, they reduce the damage of certain, as I say, swing scenarios coming up and really throwing somebody's tournament without giving them a fair chance.
Heirlooms is always one that comes up, and people it's so difficult to try and fix because some people enjoy the fact that
random.
Some people just enjoy the fact that it is completely random and anyone can win. But at the same time, when you roll that 6 and pick up the heirloom, like what happened with us at the Masters, Michael, I felt amazing. But I've had it where I've played Sam and James or Elliot, in fact. Elliot, when we played Into the West last year, did it against me. He rolled a 6 with Hunter Orcs and then ran away from me for the next hour and a half. And it
from his hobbits moving 4 inches across the board, by the way.
Miserable.
I've done it myself. It's depressing to come up against. So at least there's something to fight for.
That's what's necessary. I like it.
Yeah,
it's a good.
They seem like minimal changes, which from the way you've described them, I'm on board with the changes. I'd be interested to hear kind of whether there are any, not issues, but I just guess whether there's a particular matchup and someone felt that because of this situation that happened that they'd have preferred it if it was the other way, and exactly what that kind of situation would be. that would bring up that potential problem.
Yeah, no, I'll always take feedback on my events, because ultimately, if I'm to run them again, I want people to be keen to come.
Yeah.
My gut would tell me that, if heirlooms gets rolled, there will be less groans than if it were rolled without the changes.
Yeah.
And then you might have one person who would have preferred it if it had remained as it was, but compared to the 10, 15 people who actually benefited from it, everyone's seen the rules pack before, or they should have, before they join the event, so they know what they're signing up to.
Famous
so
last
my hope
words.
is, my hope is that they would take that into account.
I guarantee none of these scenarios are going to get rolled this weekend anyway. So
yeah, that would be funny. You
them.
put in all the effort and nothing comes up. But hey, at least they're.
Have you got like a special prize or some sort of interesting thing that you're going to do if all 4 of the change scenarios roll up?
I hadn't thought of that, Ash. Maybe next year.
Michael has plenty prizes on offer.
Yeah, I don't know what I could do for that, but I'll take your suggestions.
If all 4 of the change scenarios come out at 6, you have to do a handstand or something.
The resultant earthquake from when I fall over wouldn't be worth it.
Oh Lord.
I don't know. We could shave James Gorbel's head. That might be a good way
We've
of
settled it
celebrating.
right now. If all 4 of those scenarios come up, James will be bald from now on.
Yeah.
James accepts. Okay, love it.
So there is one final scenario change, and that is Contest of Champions. The leader kill points go from 357 to 246. Breaking is worth 1, and then 3 if you're unbroken. And you get 1 point for wounding the enemy leader, 2 points for killing them, and then 3 points if you kill them with your enemy leader.
With the leader.
Such a good change.
It doesn't come down to the leader doing everything. It's actually just there's a lot more points for grabs without hopefully undermining the scenario itself.
Yeah.
Contest is bad, but the fact that it wouldn't be bad if you just change those leader VPs away from your leader having to do them, because then you could get a 5-5 draw, or you could actually just make their leader get more and then kill them. But it's the fact that you have to do the wounds with your leader. It just
it's all or nothing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really all or nothing.
It often comes down to a roll off, as does Seize the Prize, as even does Heirloom sometimes. Just it's the roll of a 6. So it's these scenarios, and again, I go back to the phrase swingy scenarios, just trying to mitigate them somewhat.
Yeah. Ash, I am interested as to what you're painting, by the way, my friend.
It is everyone's, my favorite, Mr. Sullivan.
Oh, that's for me. Let's go.
This is for me. Sam.
Oh, it's your one. Sam's got the other one. I was getting confused about this.
So Sam, I basically bought a Saladin, and then Sam used it with his Corsair Harad list one time. So he painted it up, but it's actually mine. So he bought this for me, but now I'm painting it. Then we've both got the ones that we've painted.
Let's see.
But you've heard it here first, Gollum's Gamers viewers, that Elliot is also jumping on the Saladin bandwagon, which I've created.
It's happening. Ash invented it.
When are you going to start taking Witch King Saladin, Michael? That's what I don't know.
I have considered it simply because it's a good all-round list.
Turn to the dark side.
I need to paint Sully up and some Black Numenorians too, but yeah.
That guy
it's on the to-do list, depending on what happens in August. Put it like that.
Yeah, I just finished painting up my Black Nums today, and I borrowed the rest from Ali.
That guy needs a massive nerf. I can't wait till he just gets hit by the nerf bat. The
next FAQ is next month, right? August.
It is. It's probably under a month. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, spicy. Okay.
Just watch how they just change his points to like 200 points.
Yeah. Oh no, I'm not taking this anymore.
His banner becomes 3 inches. Basically, that makes him.
No. He's gambling on a horse.
Yeah.
So that covers the changes for the scenarios. Now, I believe there's also something interesting about the event with the Silmarils, a kind of side sort of thing you've got going on. Do you want to cover that?
Yeah, so yeah, that can be covered quickly. If anyone is interested in seeing the prizes for the event, go to the Nirnaeth Arnoediad 2023 event pages on the GBHL or IHL pages. But one of these prizes, or there's three of them for a podium, is who can collect the most Silmarils. So basically, in every game across the middle line of the board, 3 Silmarils will be placed, 3 25 mil tokens with a Silmaril on them. You can only hold, like each model can only hold 1 Silmaril. You treat it as a light object. You can't drop it or pass it on. It can only be taken by killing the model. And yeah, but at the end of the game, if I had 2 and you had 1, I would note down I had 2, you had 1, and then by the end of the tournament, the people with the cumulative most Silmarils will get the 3 available crystal prizes or Silmaril prizes. So they are the Silmarils. I hold them.
So there's like a one.
Don't know where I live.
So there's like a 1, 2, or 3. So whoever gets the third most, there's a prize for the top 3. Is that
yeah?
Are they a tiebreaker at all, or are they just completely separate from the overall rankings?
I honestly, I would have to check the pack. Your tiebreakers, particularly for the top spots, will generally be the consistent things, you know, your VP difference and so on. But were there to be some sort of draw completely down the line, then we might come into some.
It would be cool for a tiebreaker. Yeah,
that is a cool tiebreaker.
You encourage people.
It'd be entering into the spirit of the event too. But you know, if people are going to come and play competitively for that 100 points. I want them to be rewarded for playing competitively, as you know, without having to fit in some of the more softer sides of the game.
Yeah. But it's a nice addition, to kind of hunt the Silmarils and the light objects throughout the event.
It gives more prizes, you know, and that's what my event. And again, sorry, it's like I'm trying to push it for next year, but like my event, I do try to make it all about the prizes. So you can come for the 100 points, you can come for the Articon ticket, you can come for the top 3 trophies. Or you can come and compete in the top 3 best painted trophies, your best theme, your best display board, the Silmarils. There are quite a few, as well as a certain dragon available as a giveaway with the event.
Spicy.
So yeah, lots of stuff to give away.
Yeah,
it's a bit like Bilbo did with his party. That's what I base it off on. Kind of, I hope everyone leaves with something. So there's spot prizes and we event bags and so on. So yeah.
That's good for me, Michael. Yeah, you're already selling me over Bert's event for next year.
Bert better be here next year. That's all I'm saying. Bert.
Shots fired.
Yeah.
Bert is so happy. Just the fact his name's been mentioned about 10 times. So whatever, he's had a successful podcast already, and he's not even here. Hi,
Bert. Cool. So that will cover sort of the makeup of the event, but we're going to get into some of the statistics. So without further ado, we're starting off with the alliance breakdown. Now, my initial response would be, for a Northern Ireland event, far fewer yellow alliances than I would think. I thought this is what you guys were
into.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, just before I talk about that for a second, Elliot, do you mind if I just do a wee bit of product placement for you? So Pringles, guys, if you're hungry during an event,
during a podcast,
you just can't stop. And hopefully that will help monetize the podcast for both you and I. This could be quite lucrative and affair. So no problem. Pringles, everybody. So the alliance breakdown, we have been used to more yellow alliances here than not. You know, the Irish stew has even crossed the water, so it's quite famous. Be it the All Hero sort of compilations, or you've got your Lake Town sort of combos and stuff like that. But I think with the rise of legendary legions and the fact that this event has more, it's got a wider range of people coming, people who aren't always at the sort of competitive events we host over here as part of the IHL. So they are potentially more interested, dare I say, in running green or pure armies. So I don't find the breakdown that surprising. If anything, I'm actually quite pleased by it.
And you know,
theme is awarded in this event too. So I'm hoping and liking the fact that people are sort of going for that as well as trying to compete.
Seems like that is reflected through the alliance breakdown, I would say.
Quite an even split. It's interesting,
Yeah, and no red alliances too. So I'm sure Jay will be pleased.
Is that because they weren't allowed, or just no one's taken one?
No, red alliances are certainly allowed. I just don't know how viable people find them anymore, especially when there are powerful yellow alliances available. Meaning you don't have to sort of worry about that extra added break clause and banners not affecting and so on.
Yeah,
and Mike too.
Yeah.
Any
other comments before we move on from the alliance breakdown from anyone?
Just the same as our alliance breakdown from Dewey's event. Legendary Legions again taking top spot with the most, another plurality of most, or the most popular choice for people to take
for their composition,
proving their worth again.
Yeah, as always.
Do you think at higher points as well, people tend to take maybe more alliances? Maybe there are more combos you can fit in.
So they can fit in more
Legions are a bit more kind of common, maybe at lower points. Do you think?
Yeah,
I think it opens the box more at higher points. Like there are still lots of Legendary Legions which are very strong at higher points and lower points as well. Yeah, they fit into multiple brackets, but yeah, just as you go up, you can
more possibilities, right?
Yeah, more combos and everything that you can pull out the hat. Sort of deal. So that's the alliance breakdown. We are going to move on to the faction breakdown. So taking the top spot, we do have Minas Tirith with 7 appearances for our audio listeners, followed closely behind with 6 appearances by Mordor. Now, Michael, does this also count for, so if you're allying, say, Mordor and Serpent Horde, for example, they will each as 1.
Gotcha. Every instance of alliance is captured in here. So if you are Serpent Horde and Corsairs, that would be an entry for each into the into the breakdown.
Yeah, on the stats. So Minas Tirith and Mordor at 7 and 6 appearances. Then down at 5 we have the Dragon Emperor, Legendary Legion, followed up with the Serpent Horde with 4 appearances. So maybe some Witch King Suladans lurking. Oh, and also at 4 we have Rivendell as well. In at 3, we have Army of Laketown, Loth, and Rohan, and then a bunch of others underneath that. So interesting to see the Dragon Emperor with 5 appearances. It is pretty good at high points, but lots of Emperors around next weekend.
I'm most surprised at 2 Army of Dunland. That's wild for 800 points.
Yeah, well, our very own sort of Nicky Forsyth has proven he can do quite well with them on the scene.
Great. I love them. Such a cool looking army, very themey. I love them. By 800 points,
great models.
Won't see them at competitive play that much really, but good on them.
I think they can get good numbers. They've got the Fearless. They've got a tidy amount of might for cheaper heroes, and they've got some good synergy. So I've never personally played them myself, but
6-inch banners.
They can. They're certainly a force that can be respected in the right hands, and fun to use in anyone's hands.
When you say you've never played them, you meant you've never played them yourself, or you've never played against them?
Oh no, I've never played them myself.
Oh, I was gonna say, I'd be very surprised if you hadn't come across Army of Dunland during your tenure.
Oh well, one does what one can. But I think my main comment about the faction breakdown here is I'm really personally pleased to see such a wide variety of factions represented. And this is in some part due to the international influence coming across this event, and it's great to have them come in, but also just to have a wide representation of people from Ireland, Northern Ireland, across the island of Ireland, bringing a whole load of different things that we don't see every day. Hopefully keeps the tournament very fresh. But you can obviously see from this that there is a bit of a meta breakdown too. You've got a bit of Army of Laketown in there. You've got a lot of Minas Tirith. You've got Mordor, obviously very strong, both pure and in alliance with stuff. And then you've got, and this is the one that slightly rankled me. You've got the host of the Dragon Emperor. I've gone on record saying to people that it's not really played over here. And then this event's gone and made a lie out of me.
Then Jamie Wiggins was invited. And
yes.
that changed things.
Good old Jamie.
It'd be interesting to see if the Emperor takes 100 points home, because
I
mean, it obviously just did at the Chippenham event, Guardians Call to Chippenham or whatever it was called.
Guardians Call to the Jar.
There you go.
No thanks to
by
you.
the wonderful Dewi Evans.
No thanks
and
to you, though,
won by
actually.
some unknown. I didn't know the fella who won, but I think he just fluked
The
it.
person who won, all I know is
Fluked it.
got very, very lucky.
With a heroic strike roll off, I believe.
And I can't. All he was doing is trembling when I walked up to the table. But never mind about that.
He trembles when he rolls his dice as well. He kind of just drops them, doesn't he?
So I would like to see if Dragon Emperor can go back to back at some of the big hundreds this year, and see if it proves that again it's probably the most lemon list in the game.
Yeah, I've seen some of the makeup, and I've seen the makeup of some of the Emperor lists, and the ones I saw, fairly sort of. There are two ways you can really run it at 800. You either go Emperor Broadgear Captain, Emperor Ratabi Broadgear Max Warbands, or you drop models and you fit in a captain. So there are both flavors represented at this event. Will be interesting.
Are you sure you don't take Emperor 4 on foot Dragon Knights and just see how that works? Because I think that's probably the way you do it.
At this event, we've got the vanilla Host of the Dragon Emperor, and then the extra vanilla Host of the Dragon Emperor. It really is
vanilla.
Yeah, quite straightforward.
Love it.
I don't see any Assault on Helm's Deep.
That's a
Vince, thank you for pointing that out.
Very
there
good.
No Assault on Helm's Deep, and I'm so happy about that. I have a personal hatred of that list, and I may well in future be a complete hypocrite myself if it's not nerfed. But
join that dark side, Michael. Has to be done.
But
it will be interesting to see, because I mean the Emperor, from what I see, obviously we've got 4 Rivendell lists, and I mean there's only 5 Emperor lists, but there's not like many other Elven factions. There's Halls of
Lothlorien
3 times. Oh yeah, Loth.
There's 3 Halls of Thranduil.
Yeah.
I would argue. I know
what
one of them is Halls of Thranduil with an alliance, and I think 2 of them are probably Legolas drop-ins.
I think. Yeah. So it'll be interesting.
Stealing the show.
If the emperors manage to dodge the fight 5, then depending on the scenarios that are rolled, they could easily come out with it.
Yeah, but I mean, what we do have at this event, you mentioned there's no Assault on Helm's Deeps. There's actually other siege weapons have reared their heads. I'm just not a fan of siege weapons in general, but we're gonna have Avenger bolt throwers in abundance, and then some trebuchets.
Now we may be covering something like that later on in the episode.
Spoiler alert!
Ashley, don't blow your load just yet. Hold it in, my friend.
I'll calm the strokes down.
Yeah, good man.
So that's brush strokes, everyone. That's I assume.
So that is going to do it for the faction breakdown. Moving on, next we have a leader breakdown. So at the top spot we do have the Dragon Emperor, because obviously you have to take the Emperor in every Host of Dragon Emperor list. So for the audio listeners, so the Emperor takes the top spot. Then at number 4 we have the Witch King. Not very surprising there, judging by recent events and sort of the way the meta is shaping up at the moment. Then at number 3 we have Suladan and Theoden coming in. So 3 Theodens running around this weekend. And from looking at the list, there are some alliances. So there's, I think, 1 rider's a Theoden, and then the other 2 are alliances.
I think it's fairly samey, sort of Minas Tirith Rohan alliances, if I recall.
Fiefdoms one, I think, as well.
Oh, there might be a Defense of Helm's Deep in there, actually.
Ah, yes.
Yeah.
There was at 800. Yeah, that's a good points for it. So, but there are some quite interesting leaders there. Like we have Goroth and Guritz.
Yeah, I was going to say Guritz as the leader.
Now, I actually saw the Guritz list, and it was a 60 model Mordor list at 800, just with all the cheap heroes and spam orcs, and it's 60 models at 800 when most of them are all D6 is pretty good.
I guess
D6 going 4.
It's pretty good.
Guritz is a good leader for a specific case like that, because he's not going into combat, so
he's just at the
who
back.
cares?
He's
hide him at the
chilling.
back of the map, and send your 60 orcs in with the 5 other 3 might strikers. See you later.
Yeah. Yeah. Any other sort of interesting ones there? Durbers, there's some Morias around.
Dubbers.
Durbers. What else have we got down here? A Balrog. Love to see it.
2
Sauron,
Imra
Ashley.
Hills. Oh, good.
Oh, Ash, you're meant to slow it down.
Whoever is taking Sauron, you have my backing. Please win the 100 points.
That is a lemon pick.
Yeah, it's a good. I don't know if you have chosen that list to look at later, Elliot.
The Sauron one, I almost did put it in, but what else was in it? There was something else that was interesting that was with it, and I can't remember.
It's Shelob, I think.
Shelob.
I have a feeling it's Captain Shelob.
It was like 38 models, I think.
Yeah, so it's not terrible numbers, especially when half your force is invested in the leader. But yeah, he could do well. It's been run by a capable chap who is getting the grips of the list well. So we'll see how it does.
Yeah.
Well, no, Shelob's a good pick in Barad-dûr. The only problem is that it's the lack of might, isn't it? That's the only thing that would stop you bringing Shelob over like another hero.
Yeah. What's also interesting there, I see there's a Master of Lake Town. So someone is running pure Lake Town, or just isn't choosing to make like Glorfindel their leader.
Yeah, they've gone with the sort of the Valor, Heroes of Valor approach. So your Gwaihir from Radagast Alliance, Legolas, and then they've gone, well, the Master is easily defendable. Contest of Champions is 1 out of 18 now, rather than a 1 in 3 chance. So, he's very survivable potentially.
Yeah. Then you can send Gwaihir Legolas into combat with no fear. Why not?
About it. It's interesting.
I've never done it myself.
Yeah,
and I probably wouldn't ever do it myself, just because I don't rate the Master in that way. But I'm not saying it's the wrong thing to do. It's just not my personal choice.
You do kind of need, obviously you can put a lot of models between the Master and your opponent, but you do ultimately need him at the line for the banner and the fight value.
12 inches though. I mean, unless they've gone Yellow Alliance.
But most of the time it would be probably. So 6 inches, like, yes, it's big, but you do need it at the line to cover the line. And then he's in, sort of potentially a vulnerable position. Obviously, there's a lot of models there, but like, to magic and things like that, like things could turn for a leader. There's a potential for that.
Yeah.
Michael, are you running this event on Longshanks?
Absolutely not. No.
So it's going to be. Are you going to be updating the event page at each round so that we can
follow along?
Yeah, stay up to date.
If I can, happily, it'll be run in sort of the old Excel format, and then once the round is sorted out, and I mean, my desperate hope is, I've got the right people in place. Should there be odd numbers, but if I'm not having to play, then I'll hopefully have a bit of time to attend to the event page to keep people updated.
Michael, don't listen to Ashley. He's just creaming over the thought
of
Longshanks. On Longshanks.
I'm a Longshanks simp.
He is.
Because I like
the definition.
I just enjoy. Sorry.
No. Well, just quickly, it doesn't fit with our scoring system for one. So
okay, there you
that
go.
was why Dewey didn't run his on Longshanks bash.
Yeah, obviously. In retrospect, that is a very stupid question, because you did tell us about your scoring system to start with.
No, not at all. No, there are no stupid questions unless Sam Grattan's asking them, and then you can roll your eyes. But
it's just because I enjoy, like, we talk about an event like this, you build the hype for it, and then I like following it as it goes on. You can see the list, you can see how they're doing, and without Longshanks, you can't do that, because you're going to be busy sorting out the event, and that's completely understandable. But it just means you can't spectate.
Ash, are you employed by Longshanks? Is that what we're seeing here?
Not yet.
Not yet.
If I was employed by Longshanks, I would alter the TPs that you can enter so that Michael and Dewey could do their events on Longshanks. Because I don't know why they don't do that.
You have to be chief marketing officer for the Longshanks platform. You are totally changing the game.
Well, Ash, what I will try and do is I'll try and keep the sort of the pairings updated. By this time next week, What is this? Oh, this is Friday. Yes, the lists should be available sort of mid next week with their respective names next to them, so you can actually see who's running what.
So you're going to release all the
Yeah.
lists. Interesting.
Yes, no. So
Release
that's
the
something we do over here. That's not big in the mainland or GB. Is releasing the list prior to the event. So yeah,
unless
I
it's
love
on
that idea.
unless it's on Longshanks.
well, this is the thing. Unless it's on Longshanks, yes, but we don't need to give Ash more ammo for promoting that, do we now?
We'll leave it.
Elliot, quick question. Just, is this call gonna finish and restart at any point, or
No, don't worry. We paid for the premium subscription on Zoom.
Michael, we're professionals here.
That's how much bank we make from these
we
videos.
are the premier Zoom.
So you guys actually don't need product placement, although I still hold you should do it.
Yeah, we totally didn't self-fund that ourselves. No.
Okay, well, how about we agree? Any money I make from Pringles and any other products I may place, I'll take.
Amongst the gamers. I like
You're
it.
too kind, Michael.
That's
You're too
typical of
kind.
Michael. So that is going to do it for the leader breakdown. And next up, we have a might breakdown here. So we have
24 might points.
So 22, 23, and 24. So do you recall which lists those are? I'm gonna say one of them is probably Grey Company.
So two of them are the 22 and the 23 are both Grey companies.
And 24.
The 24 might is another company run by the excellent. Well, I don't want to out him just yet. Yes, it's
is this company. The All Hero? Oh, it's the Thorns Company one. Yeah, right.
Yes, yeah.
I'm with you. And then 19 might. Who is that?
Oh, that's a very scary list.
Very scary list. Not the Lake Town. Is it the All Hero one?
It is, but it's not the one you're thinking of. It's the Black Riders.
Ah, right.
Yeah.
19 might for Black Riders at 800.
The All Hero one you're thinking of is only 15 might.
15.
But it has Master of Battle. So
we are going to be taking a look at that one because that was very
Great Company is a list that's I've only played once. But in scenarios like Assassination or Fog of War, your hero just does die because you just spend 24 might to go through all the in the ways and do all the wounds, and then
matchups. Like I played against Jamie actually with his Grey Company at the City of Kings, not the most recent one, but the one the year before. And just the amount of might, the really good bows, Aragorn free heroic accuracy every turn. In certain scenarios, it's pretty fucking good.
You're never safe, are you?
No, and then you finally get to combat, and half your army's dead, and now you've got like six heroes with 3 attacks. Just like, okay, how do you deal with that now? Like the 25 models you have left, or 30 models, it's just it's not enough. But yeah, so the average might down here, was there an average? Oh no, there wasn't back there. So yeah, average might for the event 800 points is 11. So I'd say that's fairly on the mark for where you want to be at for 800. Like you can get away with sort of like three might heroes, so like nine-ish might you should sort of be fine with. But with the amount of cheap 3 might heroes that are available, like when you add in your gore bag or whatever to your meta list, Braga, all this sort of stuff, it does kind of creep up a bit higher. So it's landed at 11.
I'd say those top 4 lists are dragging up the average slightly. But if you're looking between 8 and 12 is probably fairly typical for this event, and that's probably because people are taking 3 or 4, maybe even 5 heroes with either 3 or 2 might each. So yeah.
But you can see that 8 might is far and away the most popular might. Value
so around sort of 8 or 9 is where you'd usually go. But I guess the amount of cheap heroes that are available, you sort of get into the 11, 12-ish sort of range.
I mean, a few of them are going to be the Emperor Rutabi Borgir combination. I forget exactly how many hosts had that combination, but it might have been 2 or 3.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the breakdown of the average might for you guys going to the event. If you have 4 might down there at the bottom of the table, you may not want to play the 24 list potentially. But moving on, we have some stats for the model count for the event. So the average model count, 800 points, is 39 models. with 81 model lists coming in. Is that 81 or is that 80? It's sort of in the middle.
It's 80. 80 is the limit. So you
80.
can have minimum 4, maximum 80.
So someone has taken every available model that they can.
Yes, it's a very
list?
lovely person who I'll be standing behind with a whip to make sure he moves them all fast enough.
I think it was
But no, he's an excellent person, and he's decided to go quite themey, not Goblin Town themey, so that should narrow it down for what he's taken. But yeah, no, looking forward to that list.
Yeah. So yeah, 39 models is sort of average. The highest there for audio listeners with 5 appearances is 43-ish models, which is sort of roughly as low, like the lowish 40s is as low as most sort of like competitive armies are probably going to want to get to at 100, I'd say. What do you guys think?
Almost exactly the standard rule of whatever your points value is divided by 20. That's the number of models you really want.
That's where you want to be. And it's 39, so it's right around that. Yeah. And then sort of, everything's quite, bunched up together. So there's lots of lists kind of around the 35-ish to sort of high 40s, which, like I say, is where most lists kind of want to fall into most of the time. Your Minas Tiriths and things like that, Mordor as well, D6 kind of lines. That's where you want to get to. Yeah,
no, I'd draw your attention to that wee cluster at the bottom, though, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, maybe 7 lists that are all 15 and under. So I mean, it's your all hero. It's your sort of maybe Rivendell Knight sort of lists, sort of things. It's even that might not be that small, actually. Sorry, but it's been a really interesting array of lists that have come in, and there's more smaller unit numbers than I thought there would be. But they could still, they could get all the right scenarios, they could get all the right matchups. They've every chance. And hopefully they'll be fun, whatever the weather.
So it seems like there's a fairly high chance that you could play one of these lists with there being 7 of them. If you're going to the event, could run across some interesting soup stuff, which we will cover in a little while. There is some interesting stuff going to the event for sure. So that's the statistics on the model count for the event. Moving on, we have some bow stats. So the average amount of bows, 800 points, is 11 bows. So there's quite a lot of lists in the sort of 10 to 13 range for audio listeners, about maybe 15 lists. So like a quarter-ish of the event have between 10 and 13 bows. And then at the higher end, between sort of 19 and 26, you have 4 appearances. So Mirkwood Rangers?
No, I think
AOL?
AOL, there is one AOL list that's a decent amount of bows, maybe Harad or Serpent Horde. I'm actually trying to think who yes, you've got Minas Tirith Rohan Alliance with 24 bows.
Wow. That's legit. Obviously only 2, but 24 bows. Wow.
Yeah. I remember double checking that one and then realized, I think it's Rides of Theoden maybe, or something. Rides of Rohan, sorry. Sneaking in there. Ugluk Scouts with 17.
Scouts, yeah. What has 26 bows? Fucking hell. Harad?
Serpent Horde, yeah.
Interesting.
Like if that's got a betrayer nearby, oh my god.
Good lord.
Good lord, you're going to be dead soon.
I believe it does. Yeah.
Imagine being one of those 10 folk who have decided to take 0 bows and then you play a 26 bow list. That is just, oh no.
Well, I think what you're going to find is, our tables over here are decent for terrain in terms of coverage. So, it's not a completely flat board. Old tables will have line of sight blockers and things to hide behind. But those lists in particular, I was quite surprised by the amount of lists with 0 bows, although there's some sort of skew lists with 0 bows, your Fangorn, for example. But it's more these lists, 5 of them, for example. Well, no, there's 5 Host of the Dragon Emperor. I don't know if they're all without bows. Maybe some minimal bows.
They should definitely take some bows.
Yeah, but they've all got a drum. You know, the Mordor hordes have drums. So I'm assuming and expecting that, depending on the scenario, such lists would drum up into the face of the opponent fairly quickly, and then bows don't serve much good. So
yeah. I just thought I'd touch on the terrain piece that you mentioned. We've gone easy on you tonight, Michael, because we thought we won't invite Adam along because he may sort of have something to
terrain say. Hawk Adam.
Yeah.
Coming to abuse everyone's terrain.
Hard. He goes hard.
What's his usual stance?
More terrain now. Give me terrain. I love terrain.
And if you don't have terrain, you are just an outcast from the TO sort of scene. Yeah. So
well, we are in a shooting meta at the moment, I think, and genuinely over here, we don't have the resources yet to run something like Dewi ran last week.
Dewey's event was fantastic. I will say,
absolutely,
Guardians. He did run a really good event.
Yeah, but it was both a fantastic event, but the boards were picturesque. We're kind of just trying to make sure they all have enough terrain at the moment, I think would be fair to say. So, you're looking sort of anything from 6 to 9 sort of larger pieces and then some scatter terrain. Those larger pieces will generally be, buildings, ruins, stuff that does break line of sight down. And so that there will be some shooting avenues, but it's not just free range,
an open sort of more. I hope Adam will be happy to hear the breakdown of the terrain, because if he's not, he won't be appearing at the event next year, Michael. I can tell you that
now. We'll see about that.
We can get him over. So that'll do it for the bow breakdown. I believe we are going to get into our first list. We totally are. So
here we are.
We have a Minas Tirith list led by Gandalf the White, and I've put this one first because it is including 2 bolt throwers and a trebuchet. So shout out to both Ashley Walger and James Goebel, who's not with us tonight, for being the latest, a trebuchet user in the SBG scene. We love to see it, don't we?
Bolt throwers are so fun. They're so fun
with Gandalf the White.
Yeah, so
it's a pretty fun list. Come on,
it is fun. Whoever's taken this is a fun person, and
fucking balls.
I don't know. I don't know if they'll win. I mean, if they do win, hat right off.
Come on, they're just trebuchet everything.
High five.
Yeah.
It is very themey of just the defense of Minas Tirith, isn't it?
It is a defense list, right? Yeah.
And then
it is, with the exception of Madril, but you know what?
we'll give that a pass, I think.
Yeah.
Like 38 models it's not terrible considering
Gandalf the White. Yeah.
Gandalf the White, 240 points. Like I'd love to use him more, but it's price tag.
I would also just like to do a little cheeky correction. The Siege Veteran. Oh no, I guess it's doing the 2 with the captain. Have they included the model count? Because the FAQ gives the bolt throwers 3 models.
Everything I've been through the list, everything should be correct. So when I see a siege weapon, that's 3 models. It's a siege vet and 2 lads.
Oh, okay, perfect. Yeah, that's good.
Wait, the Avenger bolt thrower has 3 models.
Yeah, so the Avenger bolt thrower now comes with a siege veteran and 2 warriors.
So is that incorrect? Sorry, where it says 2. Oh no, so Longshanks Lonely Night Builder doesn't take into account the leaders of the bands, so it only comes with the 2 crew which are listed there.
But it's already got the 2 guys.
In that warband. Yeah.
Quite right. Yeah.
But 38 models, nothing to be sniffed at. And I mean, 15 might as well put the asterisk there because obviously 3 of those are with the the trebuchet and the bolt throwers. And
also 15 bows.
Sorry, I said that the wrong way.
If you play this army in Lords of Battle, like you have to run towards it, you're having a bad time.
You totally are. Yeah, Gandalf to play against the betrayer list and just lol.
It'll be interesting to see. This list I thought was interesting when it came in because we saw some similar builds, if not the same, at the World Team Championships this year in Granada. So when we saw these lists, we thought these got to be the dummy lists, and these were in teams like Jakob Krokmal's Poland that also put forward Assault on Helm's Deep, and we were like, yeah, Assault on Helm's Deep was really powerful last year. That'll be their pick this year.
Yeah.
And then it turned out that Assault on Helm's Deep was their dummy list. It was a massive double bluff, and this was one of them that they were putting forward. So I've yet to fully understand why they felt this was so powerful. I'm not slighting it at all, but I've yet to understand the synergy behind this list. Like,
yeah, I think so. If I don't know, if I was somewhere like the ETC and then you're preparing to play Dragon Emperors, your Assault on Helm's Deep and stuff, and then you Gandalf the White, 2 bolt throws and a trebuchet on the other side of the board. Yeah, that would just check you out. Like, that is not what you came there preparing.
Yeah, you'd be so.
Yeah,
I think we've said before, if you don't know what your opponent's army does, then you're at a massive disadvantage already. And all of us are already looking at this going, what does this do? But if the person who's using it has the experience and they know how to use this list, you could be in some serious trouble.
That is literally what we said about James at the Swindon event the other week, and then he podiumed.
Yeah.
So it can definitely happen with some right matchups. I mean, at 100, I guess it's harder, and over 6 games, you need more scenario luck, to go your way. But it can definitely happen. Like 38 models. If it was like 34 with the crew on the veteran on the siege engines as well, you'd feel a lot worse. But 38 is a pretty good number.
Yeah, I think it's got every chance, but like that, and it'll make people think because we've not really seen Battlecry trebuchets on our scene, so
it's a new meta.
It's something. Yeah, it's an interesting build.
You split up to avoid getting splattered by the trebuchet, and then all that extra movement you're taking to split up and then come back together when your lines meet. The bolt throwers and the 15 rangers, is it 15?
12,
no, 11. However many. So yeah, the trebuchet splits the opponent's army up, and then the bolt throwers kill troops on the way in, and then as they come together, that wastes more movement, means you've got more time to shoot the maneuver, and then yeah. Best of luck to this person.
I know you're a big Swift Reload fan, Ashley.
Yeah.
Are you? Do you wish you had seen it featured here? I mean, it's a lot of points. So
I do very much like Swift Reload. However, more bolt throwers all the way. If you can take 2 bolt throwers with Swift Reload or 3 bolt throwers for another 10 points, take the 3 bolt throwers.
I would agree. Yeah.
Maybe 4 bolt throwers, Ashley, as we may see.
4 bolt throwers.
Yeah.
Teasing you all here for unnumbered tiers later on.
There will be a preview episode coming out for that one.
Who knows?
No doubt. Are you going to unnumbered tiers this year, Michael?
I certainly have a ticket, and I'm certainly looking forward to it.
We've just exposed the meta.
No, it's I was already factoring on Pala Darkness, so you're fine.
Love it. So yeah, best of luck to whoever is taking this Gandalf the White list. Moving on next, we have the soup list that I was referring to.
Oh my
now,
God.
I didn't cover the previous list for the audio listeners, but I will for this one. So we have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It says it on the left-hand side. We have a 7 model list led by, now I haven't put the leader here, but the leader's Suladan, isn't it, Michael? I believe.
I want to say yes. Hold on. Yes, it is. Yes.
So we have Suladan on horse with a bow because of points. So he took the bow, and Suladan's the leader. We have the Shadow Lord on Fell Beast, Gothmog on Margaret Shield, Amder on horse with 1 cataphract with an axe, which I found hilarious when I saw it had an axe. I just lolled. A Dragon Knight on horse, and a Khandish King on chariot. So I think a lot of the time when you see all hero lists, they're usually good heroes, like from the good faction. But to see an evil one, I really, really like it. I think it's quite different.
This is so weird.
It is. So it actually comes with its own product placement. So if you'll just permit me 2 seconds, you know, when you've had a tournament and it's like it's sweaty and you're feeling dirty, well, what else do you need but Dove soap? For those who are listening, I'm holding up a beautiful bar of fresh smelling Dove soap. This comes doubly in handy when you encounter a list like this that makes you just feel filthy all over.
Yeah, just grease yourself up and just
grease yourself up. And the tagline is just don't drop it. Thank you very much.
Unfortunately, Michael, you are pitching soap to the completely wrong demographic of people.
We do not understand the benefits of this product.
When you brought out the soap, all the war gamers watching just shrunk in terror.
Yeah. They did their best, I suppose.
So this, I think that the theory behind this list is, look, you know, if you're making all hero, it kind of makes sense to take good. There's a lot of decent synergies there, whether it's using the Lesser's free point of might or you're using a heroic combat hero. You've got probably some white council in there, be it Saruman, Galadriel, Lady of Light, bit of Blinding Light, bit of Fortified Spirit and everything. So why not try something different? Why not look at what evil synergies can work? And you've actually got quite a nice
definitely interesting.
Evil synergy. Now it is a yellow alliance. You know, Mordor and Harad and stuff have some decent sort of green alliance stuff that can go on, but you might as well just expand to yellow, because it's not really taking much away. You've got Gothmog with his Master of Battle. You know, you've got one. It's just the one spellcaster there, but he's the best one in terms of hiding you from enemy bowfire. And then you've got stuff like the Chariots that can just mow down low defense enemy troops. And then you have plenty of hitting power with, you know, knights with axes and troops with strength 4, not troops with strength 4, heroes with strength 4 and so on, and blood and glory and stuff. So
not only do you have the Master of Battle, you also have 2 blood and glories as well.
Yeah
Really nice.
It's pretty handy, and you've strikes out the wazoo as well. And I've been told by the person seeking to run this has sort of discounted his opportunity to win the event, but he says it could certainly cause some big people to slip up. So I think he's literally looking to ruin some people's days, you know. So get that soap back out, you know, wash his mouth out and wash yourself. But
that makes me feel way better. Yeah, just knowing he's just hoping to ruin someone's chances of getting 100 points. That is so typical.
What you see
very friendly approach.
You mentioned the fact it's Yellow Alliance, but the Mordor army bonus only affects troops.
That's what I was saying.
Only affects warriors. The Serpent Horde army bonus is again 50% bows, only for warriors. And Sam would know what the Khandish army bonus is. I can't remember off the top of my head.
Also 50% bows, I think.
Right. So by taking the Yellow Alliance, you lose absolutely nothing because you're not taking any troops.
You do in the Eastling one, you get the reroll thing, but you can live without that, really.
True.
So it's not that big a deal.
Yeah, probably. It's all hero can work fairly well with Yellow Alliance. It's fine. It does just restrict you to getting those heroes of valor in from the different factions. But again, you know, in this particular alliance, you might have bought the Spider Queen in. She's also valor. It's probably an easy one that could fit in a different sort of build. But I think, you know, this will be interesting to watch, and the player running it is very adept. So it's going to be
hearing that then. Yeah, I'll be really interested to see where this finishes. If this finishes like top 20, I'll be like, wow, what did he play and how did it go?
I'd be surprised if he wouldn't. Put it like that.
Really?
It will depend on matchups. It will depend on scenarios, but this is just going to hit hard, and we'll see how that does.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not 50% bows. It's the horsemen don't count as bows or something.
Right.
Yeah. Something like that. Yeah.
Suladan with the one bow to snipe out a horseman might behind it. It can definitely happen.
I think the Khandish King has a bow as well.
Does it?
Yes, it does. Yeah.
Got that wrong. I've never played it. So is it just one bow?
So there should be 2. So Suladan and the King.
Oh, sorry. Right. Yeah. Sam will be turning in his sleep tonight. Oh dear.
You were about to say in his grave.
I was like, shouldn't be doing that. He is fine, everyone. Don't worry. Moving on, we have a pure Moria list, which has allied in some of the trolls from the Hobbit book.
Oh,
now, I knew this was going to have a reaction from you
I love the trolls
after
so
the
much.
preview episode.
They're so good. The trolls are so much fun.
They caused quite a lot of controversy in our tier list. Go check it out if you haven't seen the monster tier list episode, the infamous drunk episode from Ashley Walker.
I don't know. I just think standard cave trolls are better, like for their points.
How can you not see
Why-
Tom and Bill the troll sneezing in his fucking hanky and just be instantly terrified of your opponent?
The fact you've got 3 bats and Sneezy Boy is like, all your heroes are now scared. You've also got 50 goblins.
So for our audio listeners, we have
Sorry.
Durbans leading a load of goblins, 3 prowlers and a bat. We have Groblog leading a load of goblins, 3 prowlers and a bat. A Moria captain with shield leading a load of goblins. These all have spear and shield of some variety with another bat, so 3 bats. Then also a shaman with more goblins with bow and spear and such. So 6 bows. Have I got that right? Yeah, 6 bows in total on the left there. 13 might with the trolls as well, because then you have Tom the troll and Bill the troll from the Hobbit book, the ones with the campfire. Do they still get that campfire even though it's
No,
not 3
you
of
have
them?
you have to pay for it.
Yeah.
We pay for it.
So it's if it's green, you get it for free. If it's yellow, you have to pay for it.
Gotcha. Is it any good anyway? I just remember
No.
that being a thing.
Well, it is good for the
Quite
trolls.
situational, I think.
Basically, it gives them fearless within 6 inches, which in a scenario like Breakthrough, you put it on their back objective, and then like, oh, you get a troll there, and it doesn't run away. So yeah, but you know, it's not really too good.
50 models though, like yes, you're goblins, but you do have 3 bats for objectives and trying to take down heroes, and you do have 2 trolls. Now, Tom is the fighty one who has the paralyze.
But if Tom is the weakest, but he has that. As you say, he has that sort of paralyzed rule where he can spend a will point, I think, to sneeze on somebody and half their fight value.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not. Yeah. So sorry, it's not paralysis. It's like the channeled version of transfix, maybe.
Yeah.
Whereas Bill is just an absolute beat stick. He's like fight 7.
Fighty one. Yeah.
Bill's a machine. Bert is the forgive me, Ash. He's the ginger stepchild of the 3. he's fortitude for some reason, you know, and it's like, why does he not get the love? Because he's pretty much the same as Bill, except for being fortitude, if I recall, and having a different BPA.
Just looking at the profiles, yeah, like the stat line is exactly the same, bar having 2 might. So, yeah, it is the same. Oh, Bill has strike though, so
that's the thing.
But he's just better.
He is.
So yeah. Tom is fight 6, which isn't amazing, and he's D6, I think. So he's he's quite vulnerable actually for a monster.
Yeah.
Especially with a big base like he has, but at the same time, you know, he can be quite useful if positioned well. So what I like about this list is it's just something out there. It's not something we see too much. The trolls barely grace our scene. I don't know how popular they are over in GB, but
I've never seen them.
Yeah.
That's
so they're
why
backing up a fairly sizable force here.
Yeah, that's why I saw this list and I was like, that's quite interesting. Like you've got 2 hurls, yes, they're really big bases, but you've got a shit ton of goblins to just, you know, try and drop stuff. And yeah, you know, you can neutralize heroes on, you know, mounts and stuff with the 2 hurls and, you know, bats and stuff with 4 wounds. Yeah, it's got some spice to it.
Yeah, no, 100%.
I like this list. Respect to whoever takes the trolls.
Yeah,
I actually want the trolls to do better than the bolt throwers. I'm rooting for the troll man now.
That is an interesting take from you.
Yeah.
Could we see Ashley running the 3 trolls? Do we /you own the trolls?
I do.
I
love the way you said we/you, as in like,
yeah, I know. I was like,
I am the collective library of models for everyone.
I do love the commune you guys run. I really do. In terms of like the shared pool of models that you just
my
reach into.
contributions are all, you know, we have levels of contribution over here.
We are in our Gollum's Gamers communist utopia, and that's how we want to stay.
Yeah.
If we can run, or if any TOs that obviously listen to our podcast want to run a 400 point 100 event, I right now will run the 3 trolls because they are exactly 400 points.
Is it 400 or 450?
It's exactly 400.
Okay, very good. Very good.
Ashley out here knowing the troll stats. Check you out. You've metagame this.
If I'm wrong, that would be really funny, but I'm almost sure it's 400 points.
400 or 450. I have it open right here. Bill is 150, Bert is 130, so that's 280. It is 400 points.
Yes.
Well in, Ashley. Well in.
Because I would like to take them to Into the West, but 50 points at low points is a massive difference. So
Ally in a Merc captain.
A Merc.
Oh, it's the campfire is 15, isn't it?
But
For
I
some
think you
reason,
get it
I have that in my head as 50. But yeah, my bad.
I think you get it for free though if it's green.
Yeah.
So 400 point GBHL 100 TOs. Let's make it happen.
Mm-hmm. So with that said, on that cliffhanger, moving on, we have a similar list. We did cover a very similar list, I believe, by the same gentleman who I met at Dewey's event recently. Is it Louis or Lewis? I don't want to.
I can neither confirm nor deny.
Oh, so let's not.
Who's
Okay.
taking this list. But no. It is. If you're referring to the admirable Louis van Heck, then yes, it's yes. Louis.
So for the audio listeners, it is a Arnor, Halls of Thranduil, Misty Mountains, and Khazad-dûm Yellow Alliance. So it's Arvedui with 11 Warriors of Arnor, a Ranger with Spear, and 2 Hobbit Archers. Then from Halls of Thranduil, we have Leggy on horse, 2 Mirkwood Elves with glaive, 3 Mirkwood Elves with bow and glaive, and 2 Mirkwood Cav with shield. Then from Misty Mountains, we have Gwaihir dropped in there. And then from Khazad-dûm, we have a Dwarf King with a Dwarf Warrior with banner shield and 14 Khazad Guard. So he's taken the 550 list, if this is the person we're talking about, of course. And he's dropped in Leggy and Gwaihir, and
it will slowly ruin your reveal, Michael. List by list.
I totally will.
I think we're looking forward to seeing the paint job on this particular list, but it's also it's a fairly potent alliance. It covers bases. You've got a flying monster. You've got the hard-hitting, durable dwarves. You've then got the assassin Legolas with some high fight value spear supports, and finally to flesh out the bodies, you've got I think Arvedui is the leader.
Yes. Yeah.
Hold on. Let me double check that actually.
I think he is. I think there was one list that had Gwaihir as a leader.
Oh no, sorry, Gwaihir's the leader. Yeah, Gwaihir's the leader.
Gwaihir.
So yeah, you flesh out the bodies with your Warriors of Arnor, who again they're fight 4d6, aren't they? So you're covering a lot of bases. And you've got the magic 40 models. So yeah, it's quite a dependable, decent yellow alliance, I think, and it's a refreshing change from your usual Lake Town field.
It's just interesting to see another sort of list follow the same Lake Town soup sort of vibe where you can drop in X thing. So in this case, he's gone for Leggy and Gwaihir. It's interesting to see something else that isn't Lake Town is still able to follow that same sort of recipe. Yeah, it's very interesting. I think if this won the event or won a event, I wonder if we could see something like this ran more often.
Yeah, but potentially you gotta, those Warriors of Arnor have got to come back into production, I suppose. Although word on the street being a potential future book in that arena, they might not be too far off. Yeah, so we'll see, but it's not the most unthematic, despite being a yellow alliance.
Yeah.
It's highly possible that some dwarves, elves led by Legolas, who's 3,000 something years old, and then Arvedui could have run together at some time, and Gwaihir is kicking around. So
it makes sense in our own timeline. Could be going for a back-to-back. If we're talking about the same person, of course, we could be going for a back-to-back best painted. Maybe.
Oh, somewhere John Partridge just shuddered. He knows evil is afoot.
Himself. The guys do usually crap themselves. Let's be honest.
He's got every chance. If it were the same person we're talking about, let's drop all pretense. It's Louis. We all know it's Louis. But I will say that that there is a podium for best painted at my event.
Yes.
So you know, like Louis probably got a very strong opportunity or chance to get on that podium. But we've good painters here. We know there are good painters coming from abroad to contest this event. So
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing Saturday lunchtime, you know, what people put forward, and hopefully get some decent photos to capture it properly.
So really, John Partridge going to Dewey's event and not yours was his mistake, because he would have actually come home with some hardware at your event where he didn't at Dewey's, coming second in best painting.
Maybe. He would have a good shot. John's a very good painter, and obviously his Lake Town board is fantastic.
It is, yeah.
So
that is going to do it for Louis' list, if it is Louis.
if it is,
next up, we have a Mordor Dark Denizens Alliance list. So for audience, it is. I thought that might have this response from you, Ashley. So
it's up my alley.
We have the Witch King with an Orc warrior with banner shield, and then 6 black nuns and 6 Morannons with shield and spear. The Shadow Lord on a horse with 4 trackers, a Wild Rider with shield, 3 Morannons with shield, spear, and 3 black nuns. Then we have a ring wraith.
Yay!
I prefer wing wave.
Wing wraith, who is on foot and doesn't have any extra will, so it's just 2 might and 1 fate, but on foot, no extra will, so 2, 7, 1. With 3 Orc warriors with shield, spear, 4 Orc trackers, a Wild Rider with shield, and 3 black nuns, and then the Spider Queen allied in with a Bat Swarm. So hits the magic 40 models while having 3 casters, 2 of them mounted, a Spider Queen and a Bat, and a Terra front line.
And 12 Numenorians.
And 8 trackers.
This is fun. I would love to play a list like this.
Yes.
Triple
you
caster.
You guessed on whose list this is, Ashley?
Is it our friend, Mr. David Farmer?
Friend of the pod.
Friend of the pod, soon to be here.
I cannot confirm
nor deny. However,
I would say that is a solid guess.
It's just the fact that he's got a Bat Swarm, he's got the Spider Queen, triple caster, so none of the opponent's heroes are doing anything ever.
What do we think?
He's got the Shadow Lord.
What do we think of the Wraith on foot? It's his march.
I like it. Why not?
Do we like it?
It just means you've already got one of the best hitters in the game with the Spider Queen. So, like, you want to enhance that ability as much as possible. Like, being able to do 3 compels in order to actually get it off and compel a guy to murder them with the Spider Queen. It's got to be done. When you're speccing down a certain road with a list, you want to maximize the potential, you know?
Yeah. I think I'm not saying the Wraith is a bad pick. I think having the 3 compels is really strong and you get a march. I think maybe, although I do side on the Musger side of the Musger mouth.
You would take the mouth,
would you? Think in this particular instance, the mouth would be a solid shout. Not that it's necessarily a better shout, but I think obviously it is 15 more. Oh no, sorry, they're equal points actually with 2 might and a fate. So yeah, they're equal points at 85 points. And I just think, yes, you lose a compel, but 2 compels is still a lot. And yes, you want to get something into the Spider Queen, but you have 2 compels to do that. You do still have another 3-up transfix. You get your march, but then you also get the fight 5 hero on the charge.
Yeah,
it's outside of the Spider Queen, and you don't have much else, and you need to be quite surgical with where you use the Spider Queen potentially. So just having something like the mouth, as when you've used its will, you could just chuck it in, and at fight 5 with 3 attacks on the charge, you could kill a fair amount of stuff. Would be a nice addition, I think.
Something really, really fun about a triple caster list like this.
But the ring rate is really nice, yeah.
Is the triple, I don't know why I've just turned into the sun, is the triple drain courage, because it's like, okay, you play an enemy even with the Dragon Emperor. He's actually quite a bad example because he's got resistance to magic. And a better example would be like Aragorn Strider, he doesn't have resistance to magic, but he's courage 6. If he lets 3 drain courages go off, he's courage 3. He's then actually less likely to charge a Black Gnome line than isn't. And then if he does choose to resist that, then he's got no will left for the inevitable compels that are coming later.
He's courage 3 down to courage 2, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I really like it. Best of luck to whoever this is.
Whoever this is.
Whoever this is. He doesn't need any more 100 wins, but who knows?
Well, whoever this is told me that Elliot Shillinglaw bears a striking resemblance to Russell Kane. Which I
don't even know who that is.
Like
Totally gonna Google him now.
Google it.
Russell Kane.
Russell Kane.
Harry Kane. Oh,
let's go.
R-U-S-E-L-L.
Russell Kane. You know what? That's a pretty good shout. You know, I see it. I do see it.
I would take it as a compliment, I believe. I don't know him very well, but a rich, successful comedian of some description.
Not in this particular photo.
I'll send you a photo, Elliot. I had to look this up. There's some quite similar shots.
There are, but I mean, yeah, I'm not really liking the vibe there.
No, it's when he was less emo, I think.
Yes. No, I do see it. I see it. Well, there you go, viewers, if you ever wanted. Also, whoever, in the King Kong films, the guy in that, are you guys familiar with the King Kong films?
Like the ape, the massive ape?
Yes.
You could do better than that comparison, I think, Elliot.
No. Oh dear. I will find it.
He opened himself up for that one, didn't he, Michael, to be fair?
This guy. Do you guys know this guy?
You actually do look like him. That's a much better comparison.
He also has a very big nose, and as do I.
Yeah, the nose is almost identical.
It is. Come on, he's got the hook. Yeah.
I've never been struck by that. I've always been in awe of your rapping performance, Elliot. So one hopes to see that replicated someday.
For some reason, Michael, you didn't mention you weren't in awe of his performance in MESBG. I wonder why that is.
His rapping overshines anything you can do in MESBG, no matter what level you are.
Right, yeah. So sorry, Farmer just said that we say Farmer, but whoever this list belongs to said that I just
mystery man.
I like
reveal yourself.
I don't know if you can edit in a photo after the fact, Elliot, but I'll send you something after we're done here, just in case you want to include it.
Okay, let's see it. Cool.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Vince.
Yeah, I've had to join on my phone because mine's died.
So that's right, mate. You are here. Yeah. Any comments on this list? Have you had a look at it?
No, I like it. I want to run something similar with my Goblin Town at higher points, obviously with a lot less magic. But I think at high points, the obvious thing to do for Goblin Town is add in the Spider Queen and the Bat. But I'm thinking with maybe some giant spiders to bring some hitting power. That's what I was thinking. But this is a cool list.
Yeah.
You're giving up the Mordor army bonus, but the Spider Queen is very good.
Yeah, the army bonus can be a fairly big deal for the Black Nuns going up to courage 5 at the front.
And the reroll
and the Morannons rerolling. Yeah. But no, I'm sure whoever is running this list knows exactly what they're doing and may bring home 100 points for yourselves, Michael.
Oh, it would be worthless because such players that you reference have scored 200 points already. So
yeah, it's for his own selfish gain. So moving on, next we have an AOL list. So it is a 56 model AOL list. For the audio listeners, 800 points. They kind of fit in everything. We have Druizag with goblins with spear and bow, 4 prowlers, 1 bat and 2 venomback spiders. We have a Musger who can only take orcs. We have 6 orcs with spear, 1 with a banner shield, and a wild rider with throwing spear. Then we have Ashrak with more goblins with bow and shield, another bat swarm, and 2 venomback spiders. Then we have more Goblin Captain with more goblins with spear, orc bow, and 4 prowlers. Then we have a shaman with 4 goblins with bow, and then a wild chieftain thrown in there. So 6 warbands, 17 bows. And why have I put an asterisk there? Oh, because of the throwing weapons on the prowlers. So there are 8 prowlers, so 17 bows plus 8 throwing weapons as well. They get the +1. 4 spiders, 2 bats, an enraged chieftain potentially as well. There's a lot going on here.
Yeah. Sorry, go on, Ash.
I was going to say, it takes a really high skilled player to be able to get the most out of AOL when you get to really, really high points, because you have so many tools that you have to manage. You have so much magic that you have to do in conjunction with each other properly. It's going to be, this list is definitely strong. Whether or not that whoever's using this list is able to get the maximum out of it with the multitude of factors that it possesses, I think is actually quite difficult to do. So credit to them, depending on how they do in
for going
list.
for it.
Yeah.
It covers a lot of bases for me. Obviously, I've a special place in my heart for AOL. I think it does take, to use AOL properly, it takes a fairly high sort of skill level to get the synergies right. I would say the same for Angmar. I'm not at all trying to big up my personal abilities or anything, but I've seen AOL run poorly, and I've seen it, like in this case, as a well-rounded list, a list that isn't just and it's not banking on having 70 to 80 goblin models hoarding off a field and winning by slow play or sheer oppression. It's instead, you've got an injection of orcs, you've got a good injection of beasts, and then you've got your synergies with Attrick and the spiders, and you've got a fair staple of goblins in there. This is what, for me, the list is about. I believe, certain people have complained about AOL and it being overpowered. I very much disagree. But I also think, this is more how it should be played rather than just going pure horde, which I think has been more of a thing in Europe and maybe America. So I like to see this. I think it's fairly indicative that I'm not participating in this event, and therefore we've only got one AOL list featuring in it. But I'm glad to see some representation. But we'll see how they do.
Where do we feel about the Warg Chieftain at 800? Is there, other than going pure spam, do you take another bat or more spiders instead of the chieftain, or is the chieftain kind of the next take most of the time after you've got in the 3 named heroes, a captain and a shaman? Do you usually go, or would you maybe leave the captain at home and take just the chieftain and flesh out with more troops? Is that another option?
I personally, I used to take the 3 named shaman and 2 unnamed shaman, both goblins. I love the double shaman approach. I'd actually still stick by it. So if I were building 800, I would likely take, I think I did for the WTC actually. I'd probably go 2 shaman, a goblin captain, and the 3 named shaman. I don't see the huge draw of the Wild Warg Chieftain. I think he poses too many potential weaknesses that, bats and spiders together can do well enough anyway. Plus they've got all those lovely rerolls from Ashrak. And they're harder. They present more targets to shut down. So I did use the Wild Warg Chieftain, and he was decent enough in June there. But to be honest, if I were going back to my usual build, it would be 6 heroes and lots of beasts and troops. I guess getting about 50 low 50s models.
Yeah, I guess it's, can you get similar value from enraging spiders and bats? Compared to the chieftain, and then you don't have to take the chieftain and you can take another shaman, for example, re-rolling on the magic. Those shamans with the 3 will, the amount of times I hear people saying, they got off 2 or 3 transfixes with the might point as well. I hear it a lot. And
because they just get the re-roll of all dice. So if you really need to do it, you chuck 2 dice, or you don't cast it, okay, you chuck 2 more dice because you get to re-roll all the failed.
It is good. It's why I liked having two, because then you've got 3 potential transfixes in the list. It's also handy to spread fury across your lines if you've decent numbers or you're going to separate objectives. The nice thing about the Wild War Chieftain is he brings 2 might with him, and if you're including some wargs in your list, he can march with the wargs. So the one thing that scuppers AOL is when you set up an enraged spider, a bat, 3 prowlers, a bunch of other orcs and goblins in a particular fight, maybe even a hero, but let's say not in this case. You've got a banner nearby. So let's say you got 16 dice to get a 6 and you don't roll a 6. That's happened multiple times to me, and it sucks, but that is the risk you take. Whereas if the Wild War Chieftain rolled a 4, well, in dire circumstances, he can might that up to a 6 and you take the fight and probably kill what you're trying to kill.
So it can be big. Vince, any comments on the AOL list? I've been dropping internet issues.
I think we covered most of the main points. So the venom back spider, is that the same as a giant spider? What's the difference?
They re-roll everything to wound.
So instead of re-rolling ones, you re-roll everything, which is huge. So if you get enraged, just normally you got up to 4 attacks. If you trap the model, that's 8 strikes, and then you can re-roll all of them at strength 7. That's killing a lot of stuff.
So it's like, can you still? You've got lots of really good enrage targets even without the chieftain. So, and if it's somewhere on the other side of the lines, you've got 2 bats that you can enrage the bat and do it that way instead. Or if you can get a model in there, then you've got the spider for that. So it's like, do you need the chieftain?
And you've got Ashrak to send spiders through the line. So you've just got so many potential things to shut down. That's what I love about it. And if I weren't running the chieftain, I'd have another bat in there, certainly.
It's funny that you mentioned about the sending spiders through the lines, because I believe in our game, that was what won you the game, because I forgot that you classic Elliot blunder. I forgot that Michael did something. He made a spider invisible, and then I just forgot that was a thing.
Invisibility is it's one of those things that can just catch people out, and it's again, if you're au fait with all your rules, and your opponent is not, it's useful to have those sort of cards up your sleeves.
Or if they are aware of it and they're just really thick and just
No. You've got so many things to think about in a game. So let it be noted here that I was only able to beat Elliot through underhanded means of going invisible. And if I played without that, Elliot would have stomped me.
So the real difference between, this list at high points versus like AOR at low points is pretty much just Ashrak, isn't it? You just throw Ashrak in at high point.
And like the double shaman potential, but Ashrak is kind of the question usually as you move up to higher points. At what point do you slot him in?
Ashrak's a good drop in. I would say at about 650 I'd have him.
Plus,
plus.
But how effective do you think that trick is against kind of the more experienced players, the ones who just kind of bubble wrap their heroes? Like the Ashrak trick doesn't really come off too much, right?
It has generated, as you call it, the bubbling up bubble wrap. I quite like that. It has meant that, again, more experienced players who are aware that that's possible, will start bubble wrapping their juicy targets, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, because it means they're instantly taking models out of the game in order to do that. They are also potentially trapping. They're trapping those models, so you've less reason to send something through. And it also means that you're always keeping your opponent on their toes, which for me, and I've been on the other side of it too, for me means you might be more likely to make mistakes, because you've got so many balls in the air that you might miss something, and that's when the other player will pounce. So if you're aware, never mind a channeled Shroud of Shadows, if you're just aware that Shroud of Shadows is possible, that's an extra thing when you're doing your movement phase that you've got to recall and get just right, and declare your intention with your opponent and so on. So
I think it's also a thing where I'm not sure if in the Legion it's any different and it's just a bonus from the Legion, but is it that Ashrak gives you the free upgrades for the Venomback spiders like he usually does in Moria?
Yes,
Yeah.
he gives you free upgrades. Yeah.
So you get that for free as well. So
Yeah.
You make all 4 spiders better by taking Ashrak, and might tempt you to bring more of them as you get into the like you say 650, 700 range and plus. But yeah, that's going to do it.
He's just last point on Ash right there. He's not the worst sacrificial hero either, in that if it's not a game where like Assassination or Fog of War, once Ashrak has expended his will, you can send him in to the Balrog, to Sauron, to a big nasty hero or monster on the opponent's side, and suddenly they're like, well, great, if I win this fight, as I probably will against a two-handed shite goblin, I run the risk of paralyzing myself here, which can be very handy too.
Yeah. So I have to say the final point on Ashrak to add on to that one is that I had a fantastic moment with the paralyze with Archie. Shout out to Archie, a long time SBG friend. We were playing a doubles tournament with an Azog's Legion and Moria Yellow Alliance, so total crap. And we sent Ashrak into a Witch King on Fell Beast, lost the fight. The Witch King killed Ashrak and then dismounted the Witch King from the Fell Beast because it's paralyzed. It was just the Witch King lying on the floor.
Absolutely classic. He's made his points back instantly. Like, it's wonderful.
It's like a 220 point or whatever Witch King, and it was just
that's great.
It was quite funny. Yeah, it was hilarious.
I genuinely love AOL as a force. I think it's an exciting, fun force. It is strong, and it's strong in the right hands. I do not believe it to be overpowered, but I think kudos to the GW writing team and Jay and all for coming up with a legendary legion like this, because it's got a lot of synergies that in right hands can work well, but it's just fun to use. And now whether it's fun to play against, people are starting to build armies that can just march into it and punch it in the face. But I enjoy using it, and I know plenty of others do. So
yeah, I'd say it's easily one of the most interesting things they've put out in quite a long time. Like to have this many different ways of building and different troop choices and synergies and everything. Different special rules like the whole +1 to wound with the darkness and everything. Just as a lot going on, and you get something like the Emperor, which I play the Emperor, so I'm not just trying to dog on the Emperor, but like it's just fairly bog standard, and it's a 12-inch banner, your D6, and it's like great, but yeah, something like this has a lot going on. So
it's funny because Sam runs AOL and he keeps saying how boring it is to play.
He has a completely different view to Michael, and he would be arguing that. Yeah.
I will not be lectured on the merits of AOL by one of Will Champion's illegitimate children. Like I took Sam through AOL back in the day when he was thinking about it, and I'm disappointed that he went off it, because I think Sam definitely has the knack to pick up a force and be nasty like that. In fact, I remember thinking when he'd asked me about running the list, I was like, oh crap, the last thing I need is this list being brought to the attention of others, because people will be taking it to victory. So I'd love to see Sam give it another go. I mean, it's a shame he thinks it's boring now. But...
I mean, he did win his first GBHL 90, the first time using the list with AOL.
He's done well with it. He just
there you
go.
He just
he's done well with it. I don't think he's denying that it's powerful.
He just hates it.
Doesn't really like it.
He's got list snobbery.
Yeah. Sam has played every OP list. Moving on, we have these are the actual 2 final lists. I've combined these onto the same page because they are both Lake Town soup lists. So for the listeners, they have the standard army of Lake Town makeup, which is the Master, Braga, Alfred, with a load of Lake Town dudes. One list has 13 bows, the other has 12, so fairly similar on bows and spear count, etc. So the classic Master, Braga, Alfred. The differences is that one list has allied in Gwaihir, Saruman, and Galadriel from the White Council. The other has allied in also Gwaihir, but has gone for Glorfindel on horse with the Armor of Gondolin, with 3 higher forwards with Spear Shield and 1 with Banner Shield, and then Círdan as well. So one has gone with the 2 White Council heroes in Galadriel and Saruman. The other's gone for Glorfindel and Círdan for the Terror. So the White Council list has 43 models. The Rivendell one with Glorfindel and Círdan goes up to 46. So two slightly different takes on the same Lake Town soup sort of vibe. What do we think?
I hate them.
Vince, I feel your pain, although I unashamedly run this sort of list myself.
I
think you speak for the nation, Vince. You speak for the nation. Like,
I really like both of them, and I'm not sure which one is better, and I don't know how to choose. I think Magic is super duper duper strong, so probably if you put a gun to my head, I would prefer Saruman and Galadriel. However, Glorfindel and Círdan are an excellent combo, and it's just really difficult.
I just have to jump in here. Quick shout out to Jay Acharya for drunk texting me on his Friday night out. You'll have to see it. So sorry, you were saying you prefer which one?
Saruman, Lady of Light. We used to see Lady of Light like in all the different lists, and then when they nerfed her, it became very evil centric, which I'm not sure was necessarily a good thing. But yeah, it's when you can take the Lake Town engine with Saruman, Lady of Light, and then Gwaihir, you're gonna be really strong.
I think it's that with the Glorfindel and Gwaihir list. Obviously, I played against Michael. You didn't have Círdan, did you, at Ali's event? At 765.
I feel like I did. Yeah.
Totally may have.
No, I think I did. If I had Glorfindel, then I had.
I had Fury.
Yes.
So yeah, I just said I didn't remember taking courage tests, but yeah, maybe you did. I just guess that if you have Glorfindel and Gwaihir, it's like, yes, you have two really good hitters, but can you get away with just having one? And then you have Saruman to compel things to get your hitter in better.
Yeah,
and into more places. So can you get away with just having the one, but then you gain everything that you get from Saruman and Lady of Light?
Just quickly, Elliot, I've had Sam message me there. Is he not available to jump in now, or is that just him for the night now?
Sam hasn't messaged me, so
he knows who his friends are. See if he'll jump in, sure. But in the meantime, it won't surprise you that I think there's 3 sort of Lake Town soups coming to the event, and they're all run by 3 top players. So they're obviously they're milking this sort of engine for all it's worth. Also, did you guys coin the term Lake Town engine? Because I feel like you did, and
we will give
kudos
to Mr. Dewey Evans, who said that.
And
I was like,
okay,
it was Dewey, and I was like, that's such a good.
But he was a guest on. Yeah, he was a guest on our pod, so really it was us.
That's true.
That's true. That's where I'm recalling it. Sure, I think everything that happens on this, apart from my product placements, is your property, so you can claim it as your own. Like
we are the engine of all good SBG takes on the internet currently.
Oh, 100%, 100%.
Sam said he is not available at the moment. I don't know what he's on about. He's now drunk texting you, Michael.
Yeah, so something like that. There's some picture attachments. I'm not looking at them at the moment. So we've got 3 sort of Lake Town builds, of which these are 2. I have run both, although I think I'm trying to recall the sort of the different types I've done. But one obviously sort of relies on Gwaihir. You've got your Saruman's great with Army of Lake Town, bringing his Aura of Command, and you've got Galadriel making spirits, which they weren't on the table. If you come up against spirit armies, and then in the shooting meta, she's also providing the blinding light, so that's fairly handy. And then
she's also just really good in combat too.
She can do well. Yeah, she can do well. Just got to roll that 6, and she'll probably be grand. So it's not a bad list, and as I said, it's being run by somebody who's a top player. So I would expect it to do well, and I would say, knowing who this player is, he'll be very glad he's got blinding light in the list this time, because the last time we faced, he did not.
Is one of these clubly?
I'm not going to go for the low-hanging fruit there. No, it's actually not clubly.
I I saw he was running Survivors the other week, so I thought maybe he had.
Oh yeah, no, he ran that at Dows. But this other build is more. It would be my go-to build for the Lake Town Alliance. In that Glorfindel, he's not the best reliably. Actually, 4 dice on the charge with a reroll, you'd think would be enough for a 6, but the amount of times he flubs in a style where the barrel roll gets so frustrating.
Yeah, he does.
So he's a good survivable leader though with his Fortify Spirit, and he can do a handy job in combat.
It's the 12-inch
horse.
It's the 12-inch horse as well. It's the 12-inch horse as well, which is really big.
12-inch horse is very good for threatening the enemy just with a sudden charge, and Círdan can help him exercise his killing power with enchanted blades. But Círdan really brings the list together because you stick him behind, you send up your dismay, your aura of command, and suddenly everything's fearless and everything causes terror, and that makes your Lake Town that much more survivable unless you're in turn facing Fury. And if you're in turn facing Fury, you're probably, unless it's Easterlings, you're probably facing something with a generally lower fight value than yourself, which you can get away with. And then, of course, you've got Gwaihir as a backup monster. And Elliot, you know yourself when we faced the City of Kings, in the right place, Gwaihir and Glorfindel backed up by troops to fill the gaps can do a number.
With Braga as well at 5/5, you can kind of just have a line of 5/5 plus, and they're all heroes with 3 wounds and fate and shit, and it's like it's hard to get through. So any other comments from anyone on either of the Lake Town soups? It's fairly sort of generic. I think we're just interesting to see the different ways.
It's become really standard now, isn't it?
Just the different ways you can run it at higher points. I wonder if there's any other sort of combinations that people
I think the aura of command in both of these lists is really, really, really strong, and that's the main flaw in the Lake Town engine, is that if it comes up against Terror, excuse me, it really suffers. And then you put Aura of Command in there, and that's it. It's got everything.
So they've both taken it, but in different ways.
Yeah.
So it's then do you take it through Galadriel, then you get access to Saruman. If you take it through Círdan, you get access to Glorfindel. Obviously, both different ways of doing it, but we're splitting hairs when we're talking about which is really better.
Yeah, I know.
About matchups and etc. So that is all of the lists that I do have prepared. Do we have any closing comments about the event or anything like that in general from anyone? Michael is TO.
I have a couple, but I'll wait on the other two first. Sure.
I was going to say thank you for joining us, Michael. It's been a pleasure. Thank you for providing all the statistics and all the insight into the meta in Northern Ireland. It's always interesting to speak to different people, and we look forward to seeing you at future events.
Thank you.
Thanks, Michael.
Thank you.
We love having guests on it.
No, of course. Any closing comments from yourself, sir?
Well, first and foremost, it is my absolute pleasure to be invited on, and hopefully you'll have room for me in the future if ever you desire to hear my voice again. But no, genuinely,
absolutely.
I can't thank you enough, obviously, for the kind words, but also for promoting our scene. Like our scene it's small over here, but it is growing, and obviously part of the GBHL. We want to encourage more people, for one, to travel from over here to over to GB, but also to travel in return. And we really are seeing something special with close to half the attendees at this event being international attendees. It's fantastic, and I can only hope we have the honor of your presence next year. If you can get that sorted and get the tickets and find the time, it'd be lovely to have you. And I know I'll see you probably in August.
Times coming up.
The summer of MESBG.
The summer of the hundreds that's coming up. But no, I'm very much looking forward to this event. I hope it will go smoothly for all the attendees, that they really have fun, that they'll love the prizes and want to come back in future. And thank you so much for having me on. And I think that the last thing to say is, if you recall, I mentioned Pringles earlier, but once you've eaten all the Pringles, you might want some Doritos. So
let's not bottleneck ourselves.
Make sure to get some extra crisps just for those late night snacks that you may have, and enjoy.
We are gamers. Yeah, tangy cheese. That is by far the best one, Michael. I love that.
Oh, 100%. Absolutely.
Well played, Michael, with all of those.
Well played. Love it. But yes, once again, final time, thank you very much for coming on. And I do hope that everyone enjoyed this next episode of the Gollum's Gamers podcast.